This is another episode of me documenting the day-to-day process that I am taking to achieve long-term consistency in the financial market. And today is Saturday, so what do we do as successful traders on a Saturday morning? We wake up early, and the first thing that we do is we get that weekly review done. So this is another weekly review. And if you look at the amount of trades that I've taken throughout the month, you can see that something has changed. Something has changed in my behavior, and that is the reason for the $616 loss on Friday. So what is going on? That's not acceptable. I can't have a 616 down day. And that's followed after an $800 profitable day. So if we look at my net P&L, it's literally triple probably the second largest losing day that I've had. So what the fuck happened? And that's why I spent a lot more time on this weekly review, because I created a whole new section that I have not done in any other weekly review to specifically figure out what happened. Why has my behavior changed? And it's crazy because some of you guys that watch the channel and have been keeping up with my journey, you literally know that my behavior has changed as well. And you called me out on it. You pointed out in the comments, specifically Chris. You are absolutely correct. My behavior has changed. So what happened? Well, let's look at what I did throughout the rest of the month. 2 trades, 1 trade, 2 trade, 2 trade, 2 trade, 2 trade, 1 trade, 1 trade, 4 trades, 3 trades, okay? Behavior has changed. What is going on? Let's get into it. Not that. Let's go to notebook. Okay, so it's October 13th to October 17th, 2025. The net P&L is $1,208. Win rate, 22%, not optimal. So the first thing that I do in my weekly review is I'm noting anything good or anything bad that stands out from the baseline statistics that we get to measure our performance, right? So net P&L, that's fine, whatever. R multiple, net P&L, 4.9R, not bad, pretty decent. Win-to-loss ratio, 7.16R. So that right there shows that I have a strong ability to capitalize on my winning trades this week. Trading day 4, trades 9. So that is high. I'm typically not taking 9 trades within a week, and my trade win percentage is still 22.22%. So 22.22% win rate. I took a lot of losing trades, probably because I upped the max trade loss limit to 3 on Thursday and Friday. Is that for better or for worse, though? Now, doing the review and completing the review, I know another reason for that 22.22% win rate is because of, well, we'll have to get into it. So first, let's cover behavior change. What caused a change in my behavior? Well, I came within striking distance of passing the eval Thursday and then unlocked the XFA on Friday. Emotions are finally beginning to hijack my process. So Tuesday was a 10 out of 10 session. I took a 5 out of 5 star trade. Could not have been better. Literally, I followed everything, followed every rule, put faith in my plan, confidently executed on it when my edge was present. Didn't even have to think about it. And because of that, my risk was extremely, extremely low on that trade. My entry was damn near perfect. Could not have been any better. And that puts me within striking distance, right? After Tuesday, I'm within $700 of the take profit or of the profit objective on the eval, which is $3,000. So now that I'm within striking distance of that, how is my thinking going to change? How is my behavior going to change as a result? Well, now I'm thinking, okay, all I need to do is make $700 more, and that's one winning trade in this condition. This condition is extremely volatile. So now I'm thinking I've got the right condition to just pass this in one more winning trade. And that is directly reflected in my behavior. Now I'm focused on making money instead of following my processes and my systems that I built over these past few months. And now I'm violating all of those because I am solely focused on making money. So as a result of that, we have Thursday and Friday. So going back to the weekly review, how has my behavior changed? I've completely disregarded protecting downside, and I'm solely focused on making money. So the idea of protecting my downside, managing my drawdown, and managing my risk, making sure that I don't blow up, that's basically completely left the picture. So I'm thinking in terms of dollar amount, which has influenced bad habits. So then I listed out all the bad habits that I did on Thursday and Friday. Number 1 being my target is based on what dollar amount will make me pass the eval. So if I pull up the recording, which I'm not going to do, it's not really necessary. My target is based on what dollar amount will make me pass the eval. So I'm not taking partials either. And I added on to the position thinking it'll make it easier to hit that dollar amount. So a lot of things I did in this trade that I typically would never do if my behavior was not hijacked by my emotions. The fact that I'm within striking distance of passing the eval, and all I want to do is take one solid trade and be able to pass it. I'm adding on to the position thinking it'll make it easier to hit that dollar amount, something I never do. And when I do catch the sell, I don't partial. I hold all 3 contracts so that I can pass the eval, another thing that I never do. And I deliberately violated my 2 trade max rule, something that I also never do. Now, if we look at Friday, all my behavior on Friday replicated what I did on Thursday, because as soon as you allow yourself to violate your rules, your system, your process, and it works and you make money as a result, you are 10 times more likely to make that same mistake or reinforce that bad habit and do it again in the future. Everything that I did wrong on Thursday, I don't see it as something necessarily wrong because it worked and it made money, right? So now going into Friday, when I do frame the sell, even if I did catch the sell on Friday, I know that I damn well that I would not have taken a partial because I didn't take a partial on Thursday, and that really, really paid, and that's what's past the eval. So a lot of bad habits that I made on Thursday allowed me to pass the eval, and now here I am. Now I have to get rid of these bad habits. Now I have to dig myself out of not only do I have to dig myself out of drawdown, but I also have to get rid of these bad habits that I've let creep in to my trading because I am focused on making money, because of the psychological situation of being within striking distance of passing the eval, and then finally getting a funded account and coming to the market and thinking, oh shit, I can actually make money today, right? So refused to size down after accumulating 2 losses, and it just led to an extremely, extremely, extremely large losing day. So Thursday, 3 losses before I finally had a win. When I do catch a win, I don't partial. I hold all 3 contracts to the full objective. And in the moment, I think that behavior is something good. I think it's good. I think it's fine. So I'm noting mistakes. I violated my rule, but I was willing to because of the amount of confidence that I had in the sell, which is, for better or for worse. In this case, for better, because, I did have a lot of confidence in the sell. Everything made sense to me. And I just could not let this setup go. I finally ended up catching it. This is a trade that I would take 10 out of 10 times, but I was overconfident in that. Added on to it here when the market rejected this gap. So I ended up stopping out for 40 points on that contract alone, something that I never do. Again, this trade, not comfortable with this idea, but I just let myself get tagged in. Another mistake. And note how I'm just highlighting things throughout, my daily processes to just really make it clear to myself, okay, what went wrong that day? What did I learn, right? What are the things I did right? What are the things I did wrong? And then finally, the winning trade that I had. I'm not scared to put risk on. Sure, this is a good thing, but I'm so confident in the sell that I don't partial. This is actually a bad thing because the reason that I did not partial at all was because I was just looking to make the certain amount, the dollar amount that would let me pass the eval. Now, although I was really, really, really confident in that sell, and I absolutely did not have to partial because I was so certain that this is where we're going once I had this right sell confirmation, I didn't need to partial, but that really has to be a part of my system so that I protect my downside. If we compare this trade to where I'm not parceling at all, just 3 contracts in, 3 contracts out, compare that to Tuesday. Tuesday, I do follow my system. Tuesday is a day where this shit is 10 out of 10. But also, look what I'm noting on Tuesday. I could have held the remaining 2 contracts with full TP, but randomly partial for no reason, leaving money on the table. So even here, I'm not being content. So I'm starting to get good at trading, right? And as I get better at trading, catching these moves, framing these reversals, coming to the market with the right bias, actually being able to execute that idea, it's getting pretty routine to me. And I'm able to come to the market and get the bias correct like more than 70% of the time. I'm able to time that reversal somewhere around that range too. Now it's getting to the point of where, I'm getting really, really confident in my ability to do this, and it's kind of bleeding into trade management and affecting trade management as a result. So I have to manage this and manage my expectations because now, I'm having a winning trade and I'm looking back at, I could have made more. Instead of just being content and being good with enough, I'm thinking about I could have done more, I could have done better, I could have made this much instead of that much, but I still made fucking money, and I just have to be content with that because the market, what happens when you get greedy, and you know what happens when you come in here, trying to squeeze out every last drop from this thing. You end up paying the price, right? The market never rewards greed. It does reward those who are content and that are good with enough. And now that I'm starting to get good at trading, I'm seeing a lot of mistakes creep into my trading. Aside from that, aside from the money focus, that is a huge issue, and that's a huge catalyst for the change in my behavior. Trading the XFA has also pushed me to be more risk adverse. I'm making the same mistake of not framing my stop at the point of validation, but amount that I'm okay with losing. And this leads to premature stop outs, as I know from the past. So there's a lot of mistakes that I continuously repeat, and they all kind of fit under the same umbrella, and they all come from the same kind of things. So how I held myself back was I'm struggling with resilience to loss in certain situations, being scared to put risk on and framing risk on setups. This is making me miss the moves I planned for when they play out. I'm getting stopped out prematurely because I'm too scared to risk. I'm not giving myself another chance to execute on a setup if I don't react well to the loss. And I'm just doing too much thinking, leading to unfavorable entries, which also skews the risk. So let's think about it this way. I had 4 out of 4 days I framed a trade plan that worked, that played out, that allowed the opportunity to pull out equity from the marketplace. But from those 4 trading days, I only have 2 winning trades. So why is that? Well, everything that I did on Tuesday was perfect. Come to the market with one plan, put faith in that plan, conviction in that plan, look for signatures that support that idea, which eventually do get confirmed, and then just confidently execute on it when my edge is present without even thinking, just putting risk on, getting the most optimal entry, which optimal entry allows for optimal stop placement, which allows for really, really good risk management. So the downside is protected there. If I check all the boxes, if I do everything correctly, my downside is protected. Now, when the focus starts to shift to making money, that's when my downside is not protected. But let's think about Wednesday. What happened Wednesday? $113 loss. Let's look at the trade that I actually ended up taking. Okay, TradeZella is gonna do this little glitch and not show the execution, so that's cool. See if I can refresh and fix it. Okay, there we go, that's good. Okay, look where I sold short on Wednesday. Again, I'm consistently running to this issue where I'm barely stopping out of positions, and I think that's primarily influenced by what I mentioned in my weaknesses. We go to the weekly review. I'm struggling with resilience to loss in certain situations. I'm scared to put risk on. And this is making me miss the moves that I plan for when they play out. Okay, I'm getting stopped out prematurely because I'm too scared to risk. I'm not giving myself another chance to execute on a setup if I don't react to the loss. And I do too much thinking, leading to unfavorable entries, which also skews the risk. So maximize this right here. I barely get stopped out here, and then the market rolls over in my favor. Now, if I had just confidently put risk on as I did Tuesday, I don't even think about taking that trade. I don't even fucking think about it. I see what I know I need to see, and I just, boom, I just put risk on. And look where my entry is. Right there near the low. I'm distributing equity here, distributing equity here, distributing equity here. 10 out of 10 trade, 5 out of 5. I'm locking in one contract here to give myself a free look on the remainder of the 2 positions. This locked in partial right here literally gives me a free look on the remaining 2 contracts, because now if it comes back and stops me out, well, I'm basically break even on the trade. So the rest is literally just a free look. And this is the partial profit taking system that I want to follow. But again, emotions are hijacking the process, and I have not been following that recently, which has led to a lot of downsides. So when I start to disregard these things and I don't do these things, then my downside is not protected. And that's when I accumulate huge losing days like I did on Friday. And this is only happening though because the focus is on making money, right? Or being too risk adverse. So going back to Wednesday, explaining that, I know the sell is confirmed here, but I'm just too scared to take it. So instead of just confidently selling right here and selling the order block, I react to the reaction off of the order block, sell here, stop loss here, and then I get stopped out prematurely, and then it plays out. But I don't even give myself a second chance to execute on this setup. Look how patient I was waiting for this sell. I sat out all this. I knew this was a fake move. Sitting out all this, and then finally picking up on, okay, this thing might actually reverse, and then executing on it, but failing to just confidently sell this and reacting to the reaction off of that, which leads to this entry here with the stop here, barely get stopped out. And I was so frustrated with this loss. I was extremely frustrated with this loss. I did not tolerate it at well. I didn't tolerate it well at all. So I took myself out of the session mentally, and I didn't give myself a second opportunity to execute on it. Because finally it is confirmed right here. I could have just sold this obvious fucking gap once we finally just left the consolidation range lower, cleared the low of that range with the gap. That's a sure sign of continuation. And I see this as a sell too, but I don't take it because I've already ended the session here because of how frustrated I was with this loss. So lack of resilience, lack of tolerance to that loss took me out of the session mentally, but I should have just sold short this confidently in the first place. Then if we go to Friday, now I'm on the XFA, right? I'm on the XFA now, and things have changed. I have the potential to make money, but now that I'm at the XFA, I have to really protect this thing and don't want to blow it, right? So, again, barely getting stopped out. And then what is the market doing? Well, why am I getting stopped out here? Well, here, the entry is not optimal at all. I'm basically chasing price instead of just waiting for a fill at the SIBI right here. If I just sell the market short here, stop loss here, that's good. It works. Now I don't do that. I chase a bit on the entry. And what I've learned from this week is that if the entry is not optimal, not ideal, where it's something where I'm chasing price, then that's going to skew the risk on the position because now I'm not framing the stop loss at a point of invalidation. Well, it skews the risk on the position, and therefore I don't frame the stop loss at the point of invalidation. I frame it somewhere right here, right? Right here at a risk amount that I'm comfortable with losing. And I'm more risk adverse. I mean, I'm less willing to take risk on the XFA. But even then, the risk on this trade is how many handles? It's like 45, right? Which is insane. So I should be sized down in an extremely volatile condition. I shouldn't be trading 3 out of 3 contracts at all. No, not at all. So things are definitely changing. My behavior has definitely changed. And you guys can see that as a result of finally passing the eval and moving on to the express funded account. And then because I couldn't tolerate this loss, because I couldn't tolerate this situation where the market had barely stopped me out and then moved in my favor, I just chased price. But then again, I'm barely getting stopped out, right? Literally by 5 points again. And then it trades in my favor. Then it offers an opportunity to take partial. But even then, I don't even think I would have taken a partial on Friday because of what I did the following day, and it worked because I held all 3 contracts to my full take profit on Thursday, and that worked, and that's what passed the eval. I think I would have done the same damn thing here. I would have never taken a partial, and I just would have held this thing for these lows down here that I was looking for in the pre-market plan, and I would have never locked in any equity, and it would have came back and stopped me out for break even. But even then, if I wait for the right entry, if I frame my stop at the point of invalidation, then this trade doesn't even exist because then I'd be in this short. And even if I don't take equity, even if I don't make any money on this trade, well, it comes back and stops me out for break even, and this loss doesn't even exist. So then the drawdown on the day is only $300 and something instead of $600, right? So it's a lot of things that are going on mentally that are preventing me from being resilient to loss. I mean, this right here basically just sums up what is going on, and the reason that I'm behaving in this kind of way is because I came within striking distance of passing my eval Thursday, then I unlocked the XFA on Friday. So emotions are beginning to hijack the process. Here we go. This is stage 4 or 5 of the trader development that I'm now moving on to because I've proven some consistency. I'm getting to that point, right? I've proven consistency. I'm finally showing signs of profitability. Now it's about moving on to the next level, the express funded account, and then managing the emotions that I have to deal with then. So that is the next step. That's the next mountain to climb in my journey. And a lot of you guys warned me about that in the comment section. It's here. It's definitely here. But guess what, motherfucker? Ain't nothing that I can't get over, right? I've been through so much bullshit, so many mountains that I had to climb throughout this journey. This is just the next step in the process. Now, once I get over this mountain, and I figure out a stop management model, because that's what I believe I should do, as a result, following actionable steps that I can take to get better and fix the problems that I have. Stop management model, less thinking, more executing, grow more resilient to loss, and stop being scared to risk. So, biggest lessons this week. The only way I can miss a trade I plan for is if I can't handle the loss because I react like a bitch, or I'm afraid to put risk on. All it takes is that I put my balls on the table and let my edge play out. The less thinking, the more money I make. The trades I have to sit and question are the worst. I'm either scared to put risk on when my edge is there, or it's not there, but I talk myself into taking it. My best trades, I feel no fear. I don't think for a second. I just go because my edge is there. And that is the trade that I took that one on Tuesday, and that is the trade that I took that one on Thursday. The less thinking, the more money you rake. And I'm missing these setups. Missed the setup on Wednesday because I did not handle the loss well, and I never gave myself an opportunity to execute it on for a second time. But even then, I should have just taken the initial sell that I saw, but I was too scared to take it, too afraid to take it, even though the risk on the trade was only 13 points. If we look at the entry that I should have had on Wednesday, motherfucker, that shit was 13 handles. Are you scared to risk 13 handles? I mean, seriously. 14 and a half. There you go. 14 and a half handles. That's all I had to risk. So instead of risking 14 and a half handles here, what do I end up doing? I end up jumping in here and then risking more than that. 16 handles. Doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense. So I don't react to this loss well, and I completely take myself out of the session mentally, and I can't even execute on the trade when it's actually confirmed, when it's actually there, so clear, present in price. Then here, Thursday, the only reason I'm able to get to the third trade is because I was resilient to loss. So, and this is a huge catalyst for, I think I put this in my session. Did I not put it in there? It took me a while to do this weekly review. Let's see, shrinks. I have to put that in here. The way that I was able to come back from loss on Thursday, right? Because I had an intraday drawdown of $400, but I was really, really confident in that sell. I knew it was there. I shouldn't say I knew because we never really know for certain, right? But how I reacted to this loss yesterday, I noted how I reacted out of pure frustration, and that just took me out of the session mentally. And then I missed the trade that I was looking for, even though I only took a small loss on it once, and I was totally capable of getting in there and trying it again. Took myself out of the session mentally. I made the adjustment on Thursday, and that is what allowed me to put on a winning trade on Thursday. But even then, extremely money focused, don't partial, and take off at a dollar amount that funds the account. So this extremely volatile condition has really, really allowed me to kind of gamble a bit. Because we have huge swings up and down both directions, and there's a huge profit potential. I've become so focused on solely the profit potential that I'm ignoring the downside. And the downside finally hit me on Friday when I don't stick to my rules and I don't stick to my regime, and I'm too scared to frame risk because of the volatile conditions, and then I barely get stopped out, and then I don't react accordingly. And what does that lead to? Huge drawdowns. So there was a lot to learn from this week. This was a huge week for me. And it's not because I passed the eval. It's because of all the lessons that I learned from this week. Like why Tuesday was such a good trading day. Why I wasn't able to capitalize on the move I planned for Wednesday because of how I reacted to that loss. But I should have taken that trade anyways, but I was just too scared to take it. And then Thursday, I was able to overcome the intraday drawdown because I was resilient to the loss, but I was only resilient to the loss on Thursday because I was aware of how I reacted on Wednesday and what that did, how that made me miss the move that I was looking for because I took myself out of the session mentally. And then Friday, basically replicating all the behavior that I did on Thursday to pass the eval, which was breaking my rules, doing this, doing that, not being aware of the downside, not protecting my downside, just being completely unaware of it, trading like a degenerate. But then again, I should have had that sell, and this should not be a $600 down day if I had just waited for the right entry and put my stop loss at the point of invalidation. But because I'm on the XFA, I'm more risk adverse, so my stop isn't going at the point of invalidation. It's going at a point where I'm comfortable with losing that risk amount. So you can see how I can connect all the dots, okay? Tuesday showed me exactly what I should do in a session. 10 out of 10 session. 10 out of 10 session. 5-star trade. Perfect. Beautiful. That put me within striking distance of passing the eval. Wednesday. Super good initially. Very patient. Stuck around. Waited for the sell. Once I saw the sell, once I had confirmation of the sell, I was too scared to take it and reacted to the reaction off the order block. Instead of just selling the order block, had I done that, No problem. Would have caught that setup as well. Would have passed the eval on that day, on Wednesday, but I reacted to the reaction off of it. Then once I stopped out there, was not able to handle that loss well at all mentally, so I took myself out of the session mentally because I reacted with frustration. So then I didn't give myself the opportunity to execute on it for a second time, so I missed that move. Then Thursday, going into Thursday, bringing awareness to how I reacted to the loss yesterday and how that prevented me from executing the trade that I was very, very confident that was coming. I missed that setup because of how I reacted to the loss. I shook the loss off that I took on Thursday. I was extremely resilient to the loss, overcame $400 in intraday drawdown because of the mistake that I made Wednesday, and I was able to come out on top and pass the eval. But there's a caveat to that, because I was extremely, extremely money focused. As soon as I came within striking distance of passing the eval, I'm now extremely money focused. So I don't partial. I don't take any partials. I'm not aware of protecting the downside at all. I'm just looking at how much money can I make to pass the eval. And that, all the bad behaviors that I made on Thursday carried over into Friday, where Friday, now I'm going into the session knowing that I'm on the XFA. I could potentially make money. I could potentially finally put money in my fucking pocket after almost 3 years. I'm completely unaware of the downside, completely unaware of the risk in the volatile conditions. But at the same time, once I do get into the trade and then I start to frame the stop loss, I'm like, oh fuck, I would lose $200 on this trade. So then I'm risk adverse, and then I don't put my stop loss at the point of invalidation, which leads to a premature stop out. And because I stopped out prematurely, then the market dumps in my favor. Now I'm chasing it, and then because I chase it, leads to a huge loss. So, connected all the dots, right? This is how the week played out for me. I can tell you everything that happened every trading day, just sitting here looking at the calendar date. This is the level that I want you guys to get to. And the only way you can do this is by developing a daily process for yourself and simply doing that day in, day out. From pre-market to intraday to post-market. That's it. 1, 2, 3. Pre-market, intraday, post-market. And you can sit down and you can connect the dots between all your bad behavior. That's it. That's all it takes, right? So that is why I make these videos. It's to inspire you guys to do this same, take this process and really, really understand your trading on a deep level so that you can get to the next level and get to where you want to be. Because as you see, I am getting the results that I want now, although there are still, as you can see, a lot of things that I have to work on, right? I'm still in the beginning phases. I'm just now crossing the threshold of profitability. And now we'll see how I manage this $600 drawdown next week. Let's go. Let's get to it. Come on. You got problems to solve. You got problems to fix. Solve them, and you can get better. Everything you want is on the other side of those problems that you're not willing to solve right now because you're not willing to put in the extra work. So let's get to it.